I have a funny story out of North Carolina. You know, the pandemic delayed a lot of weddings last year, but this couple in North Carolina refused to put theirs on hold for a third time. Gannon and Christine were supposed to have a big wedding last year, but of course it was canceled. So they did a small backyard ceremony, but they still wanted to have that big reception. So they planned on it in September, but then Christine got COVID. Luckily, she's okay, but the venue had to push back their reception to November. Well, then the morning of the event, Gannon landed in the hospital with a bad case of food poisoning.
No!
So Christine decided to throw the party anyway.
How is she going to do that?
Well, she didn't want to do her big entrance at the venue alone, so she came up with a stand-in. They took a clothing steamer that had wheels on it. They used pool cues to give it some structure, and they dressed it up in a suit and strapped an iPad to the top of the clothes steamer with a picture of Gannon's face on it. So when Christine walked in, she was holding a clothes steamer with wheels. They nicknamed it the Stick Gannon, and the guests loved it. She even took wedding pictures with it and danced with it, and a bunch of guests danced with him too. The real Gannon said at the end of it all, he said it was probably better because he was a bad dancer anyway. And he is better.
Man, I hope that couple stays together after all they went through to get to that point.
The third time. Gosh.
Well, this old boy down in Louisiana, for some reason or another, tried to break into a neighbor's apartment about 2 o'clock in the morning. Tried to open the back door, but it doesn't sound like he got inside. But the lady who lives in there called the cops. And this guy decided, well, if he couldn't get in that door, he'd just go back home. Well, the cops showed up. They knew who he was. And he admitted, yeah, I was the one that tried to break in. So why did he do that? Well, he said a big snake told him to open the victim's door and go inside. Sure. A large snake. Now, we know what happened when Eve talked to the snake.
Right.
Well, this guy was talking to the snake for an entirely different reason. He told the cops, yep, wait for it. He was smoking a bunch of crack less than an hour before it happened. Kind of sounds familiar now, doesn't it?
Yep.
And it turns out the guy's got a long rap sheet. He's facing charges for disturbing the peace and unauthorized entry. There was nothing in the rule book there about talking to a large imaginary snake.